PM in Melbourne, and we've a world first on BBC One HD, Formula One now in high definition with the Australian Grand Prix.
There is nothing new in our thirst to race, except the science, the technology that roars and passes almost as fast into history. Aims are made, titles won. Failure is always a threat, but that makes the success even sweeter. The select few drive on into the fast lane of legend. Sometimes it is a year that lives on. Though barely in the past, this one will be a milestone to cherish. 2010. It was a new age. Charm and silk scarves had no place here. The House of Red Bull ruled. And here there were red rags, red rages. The bulls were briefly on their knees. Enter the prancing horse. But was the horse running a straight race?
Fernando is faster than you.
After 18 races, the title was still a riddle of permutations. The desert sands held the answer.
Vettel, you are the world champion! Oh, thank you, boys. Unbelievable. Yeah!
And so, to 2011. The finest group of drivers ever assembled on the grid. Stables of artists, waiting for the poetry to become motion. This is Formula One.
Good morning and welcome to Melbourne for the start of the 2011 Formula One season. Now, we may have been left waiting for the past couple of weeks, but finally, Formula One gets its chance to top 2010.
Come on, Jake. Last year was mega. It'll take some beating.
Come on, EJ. Last year we had 4. This year we've got 5 world champions on the grid.
Sure, but it'd be impossible to top the aggro and the scandal of last season.
Surely less of that sort of stuff is a good thing.
No, don't agree.
What I'm really interested in is allowing team orders from the pit wall.
Well, that rule was never enforceable anyway, Jake.
Okay, but it's all about the racing. We had some unbelievable track racing last year.
Yeah, but Eddie, this year we've got new tyres that are designed to wear out after only a few laps.
Which means more pit stops, more overtaking, more mistakes.
There's some howlers and mistakes last year. I've never known anything like it.
Yeah, but come on, this year we've got adjustable rear wings, which is definitely going to increase overtaking.
Ha! We'll see about that.
This year we've got the return of the contentious kinetic energy recovery system that gives the drivers a 6-second power boost in the Grand Prix.
Okay, but you're never going to get a story like the return of Michael Schumacher.
Well, Eddie, he's got to be better than last year, hasn't he?
Everyone loves to talk, but in Formula One, predictions are particularly dangerous.
But one thing for certain,
It's good to be back. And that man driving this car will no doubt feel exactly the same. And what do you do when you've been crowned the youngest world champion that Formula One has ever seen? Well, you go chasing another record, don't you? Like, I don't know, perhaps Michael Schumacher's 7 world titles. Vettel's back. Formula One is back. Welcome to the high-definition opening salvo of 2011. And of course, this was always due to be race 2 of a record 20-race season. However, Bahrain remains in limbo until the sport's governing body decides its fate in May. We're coming home in July. We take our first trip to India 3 months later before we wrap things up in Brazil, and we're home just in time for Christmas. And if you're an F1 fan living in Melbourne, it must feel like all your Christmases have come at once. The fans, as ever, have been here in their hundreds of thousands. And actually, the on-track action really hasn't disappointed so far. We've seen thrills, spills, some shocks, some surprises, and some rather tasty spins as well so far this weekend. And in a moment, we'll bring you bang up to date with all the action. Stick with us for the next hour before the race, and you'll know just what's going on. And here to share the ride with us every single step of the way, 2 men who've been there, done that, and they're ready to disagree about it. David Coulthard alongside Eddie Jordan. And Eddie, coming to you first of all to start off this new season. We're racing here in Australia today. People are out of bed. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, back home, a bit bleary-eyed, tea and toast on the sofa, because every year when this sport rolls around, it promises so much. Can it deliver this year?
Well, it's a big ask. Last year was sensational, and of course we want to have enjoyed all of that. But, you know, with the tyres and with a lot of new things happening, I have a sneaking suspicion that we will have a mega year this year.
OK, and if the racing does disappoint, you'll keep it interesting, won't you?
I'm not guaranteeing that, and you're saying that, Jake. I'm not getting involved in that conversation. I'd rather talk about the racing.
Well, listen, that's what you're here for. David, talking about the racing, as much as the fans are excited that Formula One is back, the drivers equally so. They exist to race, but when there is no racing to be done, they end up doing the most ridiculous PR stunts, don't they?
Well, I've done several of those myself over the years, and you know, I think that we have some footage of showing the drivers doing everything from, well, driving Grand Prix cars across bridges very slowly, because in here there's some very strict rules on what you can actually do. Look at that. Have you seen anything so ridiculous?
He was told any more than 100 kilometres an hour and he'd be given a speeding ticket. How mad is that?
Yeah, it does seem crazy. This was a lot more exciting, I think. Jensen got the chance to drive in Bathurst, an incredible circuit, not very far from here in Melbourne. And from talking with Jensen, he thoroughly enjoyed that experience. And this is something a bit closer to my heart, a bit of sheep shearing. Growing up in the southwest of Scotland, been there many a time, and I think he did not a bad job for the young world champion there.
Were you good at that back in the day?
Yes, I could shear a sheep quite quickly.
Good. So if the TV career falls flat, David will be okay. And we would ask Eddie to sing to David's, but at such an early time in the morning, we wouldn't inflict that upon you. So we'll just say, David Coulthard, happy birthday.
Very sweet, thank you very much.
And David is a big 4-0, we better say that, because it's a fabulous age, because life begins now, David.
Well, I've had an incredible ride so far, so it's even better from now. Then
we don't need to know.
Well, you've been given some lovely presents. That's a book of photographs from Mercedes Grand Prix. They really looked after you. And what I think is, you don't need to worry. Brabham, Farina, they all won the World Championship in their 40s. David Coulthard, it's not too late for you.
I don't even dream of that. I had my time. I had a fantastic ride in Formula One, and I wouldn't change anything. Look at that, it's Scottish cake.
Wonderful. Well, listen, we look forward to standing here with you when you're turning 60 as well. Then we will have done really well, wouldn't we? OK, so happy birthday to David Coulthard, and happy new season to all of you. And although it's a new season, there aren't that many new faces in Formula One, particularly up here at the fast end. Red Bull, same drivers, Webber and Vettel. We've got the British boys at McLaren. It's still Fernando Alonso alongside Felipe Massa at Ferrari. But just to make David feel that little bit older, a sixth of the grid are rookies this season, and it's time to meet them after another winter of musical chairs in Formula One.
Paul di Resta makes his Formula One race debut today and becomes the 3rd British driver in the sport. Hailing from West Lothian and driving for Force India, di Resta is the reigning German touring car champion, but also has an excellent single-seater pedigree, dating back to 2006, when he beat Sebastian Vettel to the F3 Euro Series title. Nick Heidfeld replaces the injured Robert Kubica at Renault, continuing a long F1 career that's yielded 8 second places, but no wins for the likeable German. Venezuelan Pastor Maldonado is new in at Williams, replacing Nico Hülkenberg. Maldonado is the reigning GP2 champion. Sergio Perez finished behind Maldonado in GP2 last year, but is considered by many as a more promising long-term prospect. The 21-year-old Mexican drives for Sauber. Our fourth and final rookie this year is Jerome D'Ambrosio, who replaces Lucas de Grassi at Virgin Racing and continues a long and illustrious line of Belgian drivers in Formula One. Antonio Liuzzi moves from Force India to the Hispania team. Tonio's almost a veteran with 63 races under his belt, but today won't be his 64th, as both Hispanias have failed to qualify. And joining Liuzzi at Hispania is Narain Karthikeyan. The Indian last drove in Formula One back in 2005 for Jordan Grand Prix.
Well, here we go then. It's time for our first pit walk of the new season, and we're starting off walking past the Renault garage. And they've produced a really special car this year, Eddie, which is such a shame when you think that Robert Kubica isn't going to get a chance to drive it. Our thoughts with him this weekend?
It was, yes, a freak accident. We all have our opinion. I don't think he should have been in that position in the first place, but be that as it may, he did. He's not here. He's probably sitting at home thinking what he could be doing in that car, because that is a real quality car this year. I think it could be a contender for the championship, certainly in Kubica's hands.
Sure, Robert Kubica injuring himself during testing, actually, when he went off and took part in a rally. And our thoughts are with him. We hope that he gets better soon and makes his way back into Formula One. This is the Williams garage. Pastor Maldonado, one of the rookies that we just met a second ago there, David, as the military fly overhead, getting the celebrations going as they always do here in Australia. Has there ever been a harder time to be a rookie in Formula One? All these buttons to press, all these things to think about, and last year a rookie took pole and still got bumped off the team.
Well, yes and no. You know, the younger generation, or the PlayStation generation, they're used to growing up playing with all sorts of electronic devices. You know, I didn't grow up with that, so for me to come in at this time would be difficult. But for them, I think the biggest difficulty is they don't get that much testing pre-season and no testing during the year. OK, well, it's time to get close to one of the rookies' cars. I'll see you both in just a couple of moments, because a man joining Formula One this year after a bit of a wait is Paul di Resta. Now, amazingly enough, 5 years ago, Paul di Resta was winning titles. He was beating the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, yet he had to leave single-seater racing. He actually headed to Germany, where he was racing against David Coulthard last year. But finally, he gets his chance to race in Formula One, and he'll be taking his place inside that cockpit and taking his car to the grid in just about 20 minutes' time, live for you right here on BBC One and BBC One HD. So, yesterday in qualifying, how did Paul get on? How did the rest of the rookies get on? And how did the world champion fare? Let's find out with Lee Mackenzie.
Hispania defied the odds and made it into qualifying after managing only a few laps since Abu Dhabi last November. But Narain Karthikeyan and Antonio Liuzzi did not manage to be within 107% of the fastest car in Q1, which means their weekend is over and they're not allowed to race today. It was his first ever F1 qualifying, but Paul di Resta made his mark, outperforming his teammate Adrian Sutil. The German had an error-filled lap and missed hitting the wall by just inches. He starts from 16th on the grid, with di Resta delighted to be starting ahead in 14th. Ferrari were left scratching their heads after a mixed performance in qualifying. Massa struggled throughout and spun in Q3, whilst Fernando Alonso got the best out of his car, but fifth was as high as he could manage.
We were not super competitive today from the practice, so the qualifying we took a very conservative approach. We knew that if we risk, maybe we are fourth. If we took very safe qualifying, we are fifth or sixth, so it was not time to do any risk in the first race of the championship.
McLaren have plenty to smile about after turning round their pre-season testing form. They'd been forced to bring a completely different car into qualifying from the one they'd used in testing. It proved a worthy challenger for Button and Hamilton. Jenson starts fourth, with Lewis an impressive second.
What a turnaround. You know, I've got in the car this weekend and I'll be a bit cautious, try not to be too optimistic, and in qualifying the car felt fantastic. Really, really did feel great. We've obviously got some work to do from here, but the race is winnable from where I am.
My Q3 was a right mess. I got stuck behind Rosberg and Massa had a spin, and it was all quite messy out there. My lap in Q2, the one I didn't actually complete, would have been quicker.
Sebastian Vettel was never shy of a pole position, but he staked his claim with the class and confidence of a world champion. He ended up 0.8 of a second ahead of the rest, but teammate Mark Webber had to settle for third at his home Grand Prix.
I think it's probably the biggest gap that's ever existed between us two. So since we've been teammates in qualifying, so yeah, not the best executed quali for me. I'm lucky that there's not many cars, that they're close to us, because I probably deserve to be further back. But in the end, that's where we are.
The main thing is that we are in front. In the end, it doesn't matter if you are in front by 1,000 or a little bit more. So
it must be nice when it's a little bit more.
Of course, it feels nice. You know, it feels nice to drive the car. It feels nice to go quicker than last year when we came here, even though, you know, the rules made it more tough for us to build a quick car.
And were you using KERS on that pole lap?
No.
Why not?
Couldn't find the button.
So the current world champion gets his first pole position of the season, with Hamilton splitting the Red Bulls. Winner of this race for the last 2 years, Button is fourth. Vitaly Petrov gets his best qualifying position with an impressive 6th. The Mercedes were frustrated. Rosberg was the fastest Silver Arrow, with Schumacher back in 11th. Rookies Perez, De Resta and Maldonado are bunched together. Barrichello's off in Q2 means he starts from 17th. Heidfeld is 18th for Renault. Lotus outperformed Virgin, and Hispania did not qualify within the time.
Yes, a very bad weekend indeed for Hispania Racing. We'll talk about Sebastian Vettel's incredible pace in a moment, and well done him. 16 pole positions now in Formula One. He's matched Sir Sterling Moss's record, and I'm sure that Sterling is out of bed bright and early as well this morning. What have they done to this McLaren, though, Eddie? We're outside the McLaren garage, unreliable and slow in pre-season testing. They come here and they're electric.
Well, they are electric. I think what's happened is maybe before the season started they put too many trick things onto it. Remember, they were the people who brought the F-duct, and they're probably looking for some little advantage that they could roll out this season. Clearly the car was unreliable and slow, but they've probably gone back to basics, and they suddenly find they have a good car.
And Lewis Hamilton, 2008 world champion, is in the garage. You can see him there talking to his crew. He just went round and shook hands with absolutely everyone in here, which tends to be what Lewis does. Would Lewis and Jensen have gone to bed last night happy with how things are, or scratching their head about how Red Bull have got so much pace over them?
Well, I think a bit of both, really. On Friday, I think they were massively relieved. You know, they came here with a completely different package, massive effort from McLaren. You know, they've shown over the years that they have the ability to develop in season, and they've done it here before the first race of the season. So a big step forward from that, and I think that gives them a lot of confidence.
Quick well done as well to Paul Di Resta. He did really well yesterday. He starts 14th on the grid for today's Grand Prix. Now, in the past few years, what links Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button? Well, in the past 5 seasons, no driver has defended his Formula One world title. And is one championship enough for Sebastian Vettel? I don't think so.
It was a very important season for myself. Sometimes the jumps between ups and downs or high and lows were immense.
Oh, did it come together? What was going on there?
One weekend you are the best they have ever seen, everything is fine, and the other weekend you are the biggest idiot driving around.
Poor old Jensen, minding his own business.
And then the next weekend it turns around completely again.
That's what I'm talking about. Fantastic.
Abu Dhabi was quite special. The tension in the air was incredible, you know.
Come on, Sebastian, give it everything you got, come on.
Before the race I told everyone, don't you dare to tell me the positioning and where the others are and if we could do it or not do it. But the only thing we can do really is to win the race.
Pace is good, Sebastian, keep digging, come on. It's just all so beautifully falling into place.
Sebastian Vettel, you are the world champion! The world champion, well done, enjoy it! You are the man! Yes! Oh, thank you, boys! Unbelievable! Thank you, I love you. Unbelievable.
So, Sebastian, many people around the world would like to spend their winter as a Formula One world champion. What's it been like through your eyes?
Well, obviously after the last race it has been very busy. So it was quite tiring, but also very exciting. You know, if you come back home and there's thousands of people waiting for you and cheering for you, it's great to see how much fun you can give those people with just driving fast here and then on the weekend with a race car. You know, for me, winning the World Championship still is, but always has been the greatest thing I can achieve in my life. If there's a reason why I'm alive, then that's because I want to win the championship, and I have proven it to myself that I can do it, and that's a very nice feeling.
Can you remember the first time you had a moment on your own to sit back and think, I am the world champion? Where was that?
Yeah, I got this advice by Jensen actually, who said, now you will be flat out answering questions, but think about the moment you have for yourself, the first moment you have. And I didn't sleep Sunday to Monday, so I was in the plane and then I was just dead, fell asleep, and obviously then we were going on and we had lots of things to do. But I think about 3-4 days earlier, actually when I came back to Abu Dhabi for the test, yeah, I had a day off, and it's those little moments, even some minutes only you have, and then yeah, you're just smiling continuously without a particular reason. Obviously you have the reason of having won the championship, but not on that day.
So where's the motivation now? You've scaled the mountain, you've won the title.
Well, I mean, basically, you know, as you say, I climbed up the mountain, maybe reached the peak, but by the time now, you start from the bottom again. So
does it feel like that though? Does it feel you're starting from the bottom?
Yeah,
again?
I mean, in the end, you know, I think you have to be realistic. Obviously, I've got the number 1 on my car, but the number 1 doesn't make me 2-3 tenths quicker a lap just because I have got the number 1 on the car.
Are you looking forward to walking into the paddock as the world champion though? Do you think that will feel different?
Well, I mean, you know, in the end, the people ask, what has life changed? No, I'm still the same guy, and I think, you know, there's not really a reason to change. You know, I love what I'm doing, and yeah, so here we go again.
A man who lives to win, driving for a team whose mechanics live to wind up the drivers. Look at this, the boys in here from Milton Keynes are enjoying the fact that we won the Ashes this summer, and they've put a couple of Ashes urns on Sebastian Vettel's car. I don't think it'll mean too much to a German driver. However, Mark Webber has been promised a present on the grid as well relating to the Ashes. It's a nice way to keep it friendly and upbeat and have a bit of banter going on amongst the seriousness of the World Championship. And talking about being serious, having spent a bit of time with Sebastian, he seems more focused, more confident than ever, and we see that a lot with newly crowned world champions, don't we?
He's achieved his goal. He, I think, articulated it very well there. And I think just coming back to the point you were making there about the banter, the friendly banter between the team here, you know, I bumped into Mark and Seb going to the gym together this morning, which I think is a great indication of, you know, the spirit that they have there. They're fierce competitors on the track, but they know they have to work together to win the world championship.
And they love a party as well here in Red Bull. Let's step away because I'm not sure about the taste of music or the fact that it's rather loud in there. What's going on with this car, Eddie? KERS, a kinetic energy recovery system, this boost button for the drivers. Sebastian didn't use it in qualifying and claimed to Lee McKenzie he couldn't find the button. What do you think's happening there?
Well, I think he could find the button. I think he's joking us. This guy is a world champion. He's very cool, very laid back, as you've seen. He knows everything that's going on, and he probably believes at this moment it's not reliable enough. In fact, if you ask every team here, they still haven't cracked it. They don't really know when it's at its maximum. And I think Red Bull are so far ahead of everyone else, they're probably not going to use it in the race. We don't know that, of course. That's just my guess.
And that's a live shot of the current world champion, Sebastian Vettel, behind us in the garage, putting on his race suit, gearing up for the race. And he will hope that if he hasn't got KERS during the race, he won't be a sitting duck. But as ever in Formula One, we'll find out what happens when the lights go out. So why is KERS, this boost button, back in Formula One? Well, it's because last season we had a sixth of the overtaking that we enjoyed in Formula One 20 years ago. Surely something has to change, and as far as the guys up and down the pit lane are concerned, it has. A raft of new rules and new regulations and new innovations that Ted Kravitz can now introduce us to.
It's one of the most significant rule changes in recent years, a movable rear wing to increase the amount of overtaking in Formula One. It's called the DRS, or drag reduction system, because that's how it works. The upper part of the rear wing flips up, reducing drag and giving the car enough of a straight line speed boost to be able to attack the car in front. But there's a catch. In the race, you can only use it in a designated overtaking zone on the straight, and then only if you're within a second of the car in front. Another twist is that the car in front then can't move his wing to defend the overtaking move. This line on the last corner marks the point from which the attacking driver is allowed to move his wing. The big question is, will it work?
The rear wing, I think, is a fantastic tool as a driver to have available to play with it and to use it. Will you easily overtake? No, I don't think so. But it may put you in a position to do so.
There are also a couple of changes to the powertrain. Gearboxes now have to last 5 races instead of 4, and the kinetic energy recovery system, or KERS, is back in Formula One after a year's absence. Like a hybrid car, KERS uses braking energy and turns it into a power boost on acceleration. In qualifying yesterday, none of the top three, Webber, Hamilton or Vettel, used KERS on their quickest lap. Hamilton's was broken, but there's a different reason Red Bull don't use their KERS in qualifying. We understand Red Bull have the option of running a mini KERS for use only at the start of the race, when KERS is of most benefit. This way they can use lighter batteries, and what's more, if they don't use KERS during the rest of the race, they avoid one of its drawbacks, increased rear tyre wear. Team orders are now legal, so drivers' positions can be changed by orders from the pit wall during the Grand Prix.
There's no more ban on team orders. Is that useful for Ferrari?
Useful for everyone.
But maybe particularly useful for Ferrari now that it's legal. Now, as you can see, it's nice and busy down here. Everybody gearing up to go racing at the other end of the pit lane. Very much not the same story. Hispania Racing are not getting involved in the race this weekend. You can have a look what's been happening up there this morning. Not a lot of action, to be honest, because they didn't make the 107% rule. David, how embarrassing is it for that team to come here 2 weeks after the season was meant to start and still not be able to produce a car?
Well, it's a huge challenge to build a Grand Prix car. I would have thought the biggest challenge was getting here for the first time. Not to be able to make it here for the second season of the championship campaign is, frankly, it's just a joke.
You used to race in the era of 107%. I did a bit of research. I'm afraid to say that Jordan missed the cut on a couple of occasions. I know you're shocked by that, including Damon Hill, believe it or not. But that team, it's their second year in Formula One. If it's going to come right, it should have done by now.
Look, I think the situation there is that they've been ill-prepared. Possibly finance. They've only just announced their drivers. Just doesn't seem serious enough at the moment, and they've got an uphill battle. How are they going to change what they have here suddenly to be okay and to be within the 107% in Malaysia? I don't see that.
We'll wait and see what happens. Now, we're outside race control here because the stewards will be keeping a very close eye, and that includes Johnny Herbert, who's the driver's representative this weekend, on this new DRS, the drag reduction system that Ted just told us about. Just explain the way it will operate during the Grand Prix, David.
Well, very simply, there's a line, which I think we'll have a graphic here, which will show us quite nicely. There's the driver's approach, which is just before turn 14. If they're within 1 second of the car in front when they go across turn 14, there is another line, which is in the entry to 16, the last corner, pretty much level with the pit lane, where they're then able to activate the drag reduction system. Now, they won't want to do that until they're actually out onto the start-finish straight, because you need the balance and you need the downforce, but that's the point. So we've got to look at the start-finish straight for overtakes.
And plenty of talk before the season started from the driver saying, hold on a minute, opening up the rear wing, having this KERS boost button or boost paddle, whatever the teams have decided to go with, can cause problems. And the first time that a car was driven in anger in qualifying yesterday, this is exactly what happened.
Yeah, this was, we're on board here with Vettel, who just got out onto the curb, reduced, called for the wing. We'll just be able to see it here. Look, the wing opens up, he loses downforce. You have a balance shift of up to 5% of aero balance, and then he just round he goes. Great catch though, but obviously not very good way to do a quick time in qualifying.
I'm just confused as to why we need that in qualifying. Yes, in the race I can see the justification of it, but then to apply it in qualifying, for me, it's another button, it's another piece of aggravation that for me is not necessary in that particular situation.
OK, we'll wait and see what happens during the Grand Prix. Of course, Lewis Hamilton didn't really struggle with overtaking, did he, last year? And Jenson Button impressed as well yesterday in qualifying. He put his car fourth on the grid. We know they can drive a Formula One car fast, but what about a slightly different BBC Sport driving test? So here we are then, just a few days before the start of the 2011 Formula One season at a place famous for speed, the Top Gear test track here at Dunsfold. And it's rather apt that we're here because today Eddie and I are taking on Lewis and Jenson in a fantastic driving challenge. We will be taking the wheel of a vehicle ergonomically designed around the driver. A 12-litre V6 turbo intercooled beast, 460 brake horsepower of sheer silvery speed. That's nice, isn't it? But we're driving this.
Mate, he's got some speed on him.
Turning now. Hard.
Keep it on that.
More.
He's going to hit this one though. Oh, look, he's put bars. He's got bars there.
No, over. Left.
Oh, so close to knocking that cone.
Go on. Not yet.
Oh, he's turned too early now. Oh, he's gone back.
He's going to hit it.
Brilliant! Did I miss that cone? You missed it. No, that's too early.
Mate, that was really good.
I know, dude. You're under serious pressure now.
Next, EJ was into the hot seat.
Straighten up. No.
All those years of running that Jordan team, you never once drove the truck, quite clearly.
This could last forever. You know that. We could be here all day.
Where is he going? He has to. He's supposed to be parking it in here.
I can't get it in there.
You can.
All right,
it's all over. It's all over.
Out of time.
Amazing.
Me and Jensen, whilst we get on really well, of course, we want to beat each other. And so we have that fierce competitiveness, but it doesn't, when we're outside the car, it doesn't come in the way at all. And when we're at the race weekends, you know, if he's doing better or I'm doing better, we're always happy for one another, whilst obviously you want to be catching them and overtaking them, but you're always supportive, you know, and that's how a team really should work.
You know, if he wins the World Championship this year, I'll be happy for him, but devastated for me. So,
are you absolutely 100% open with each other as to what's going on, what your feelings and what your setup and all that is?
Well, yeah.
As far as I know, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. As far as I know, yeah.
Are you taking turn 7 flat?
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Why don't you try it?
Next up, it was the confident McLaren pairing.
Take your time, mate. Not so quick, dude.
Watch Martin's
Got plenty of time.
How do I see that one?
You've got plenty of space here. You've got space here, mate.
Can't see it.
Yeah, you're doing good. Sweet.
I think they've widened the bollards, you don't think?
Nice. Oh, crap. It's so hard.
Right. Wait. Come on. Neutral.
How long has that taken them?
Very little time. I want to see this.
The concentration on your face, mate. Nice. Looking sweet.
You kicked it off. You just kicked it off.
No, not yet. Miles to go.
Awesome. Good job, fella.
Woo!
P1, baby.
You both look comfortable in the team, comfortable with each other. Ferrari look fast, Red Bull look quick. What can you two do this season just to go one step better and for both of you to feel what it's like to be a world champion once again?
Formula One is so competitive, isn't it, at the moment? And you know, we've had 5 different teams winning the World Championship over the last 5 years, I think. So it's amazing how competitive it is. And you can't have one slip up during a season. And we just got to make sure that we do the best in every area.
I feel like I'm fitter than ever. I feel like I'm more prepared than ever. I think Jensen's the same. And we just need to be as consistent as we've ever been. But of course we need the pace, so that's what we're really working towards right now.
Good luck. All right, guys. Well, we've done the slow driving. Should we go and have some slightly faster fun?
Let's do it.
Come on.
That was a big oversteer, huh?
Fun, isn't it?
How was he? Was he a good passenger?
It was great. It was quiet. I've never heard Eddie so quiet before.
Well, we're here in the pit lane. It's amazing, actually, getting moved around all over the place. Once the cars start going out to the grid, you start to really feel the energy for a new season ramp up, don't you?
Yeah, there's a lot of nervous energy here in the pit lane. A lot of people who just don't know qualifying is part of the story, but of course the race here this afternoon could be very different.
It was interesting watching you as the cars were going down the grid, David. What were you looking at quite intently at a couple of the cars coming by?
I just want to have a closer look at how they prepare themselves for the race. You know, there's a lot of different iterations actually of aero designs and trying to achieve with the new regulations. And quite interesting to see the undercuts on the radiators.
It's a new season with a new set of regulations, all sorts of things happening, and it's intriguing because, you know, everybody has thought that the Red Bull were going to run away. I don't see necessarily that just playing like we think it is.
Kamui Kobayashi just thundered past us here in the pit lane, and of course he's been thinking a lot about his people back home in Japan. And it's now time for the grid walk with Martin Bunder, which will be followed by a minute silence after that earthquake in Japan. So it's now time for Martin's inaugural grid walk of the 2011 season. Martin, it's loud in here. What's it like out there on the grid?
The sun is shining finally. The sky is blue. I'm standing here by the safety car. This has been used an average of 1.3 times in the Grand Prix here, because obviously the very narrow track with the walls is a high-speed circuit, but with the walls very close to the side of the track. And we've got a car down here just doing a practice start as they go out onto the grid, it's one of the Virgin cars, trying to get some data for their clutch settings. We've just got what have we got over here? A Renault as well. That's Vitaly Petrov, sick on the grid, and they just sit here, look, and do a practice start. Another Virgin going out, D'Ambrosio there, and so the work begins before they even hit the racetrack to go out to the grid. So the safety car there is ticking over, waiting very patiently. Let's hope we don't need it. 22 cars on the grid, of course, a sellout crowd. The place looks absolutely amazing. Bit of a stiff breeze, you can see, with the flags up on the top of the grandstand. And we're now moving towards Sebastian Vettel, our pole sitter. He's been on pole. This is his 16th time. On the previous 15 attempts, he has converted only 7 of them to victories. And he is expecting, hopefully, to have a chat with at least a few people while he's there. But we see him having last-minute discussions there with his trainer, constantly there topping up on the fluids. You have to preload the fluid, which is why safety cars or cold days are really a big issue for the drivers. They know they must get that fluid on board. Maybe we'll wander over and have a look at his car while he's talking to Tommy, and I think RTL there are about to jump in, and I'm not going to fight that loud jacket, that's for sure. Let's see if we can just go around the back here, because we know that McLaren have used this kind of exhaust for this idea when they've changed their car. We hope to have a look at a McLaren as well. But the exhaust feeds out of the back. Understandably, the boys don't want us to see it, but all of the other teams have got this on CAD cam already, and they're only doing their job. But all of the other teams have got very detailed drawings of this exhaust already. But this is the new story. Can we get down inside there? And maybe, I don't know if there's any more luck on this side, because this is the first time all year that we're able, I can see it over this side if you can pop around there, just to see where this exhaust feeds out into, come and have a look down on this side here, and in there, that's where their exhaust is feeding out and energizing the under tray, and that is the big story. That is one of the reasons why this Red Bull has been so successful. It's quite a simple system compared to the Renault, for example, that feeds the exhaust forwards and then out underneath. But they're just trying to use that hot gas to try to hello Tanya, how are you this year? To try to energize and get some extra downforce. Let's move back in now, and I'm sure that jacket has dazzled Sebastian enough by now, and we're just it's in German, so a stunning pole. We're going to see his lap in a moment that he did for pole position as a track guide, and you'll see just the commitment. No wonder he's on pole by so far, sort of 0.8 of a second. And I'm going to get patient this time, because I want to pick him up before he zooms off the grid to do anything else. Sebastian, stunning pole position lap, well done. 1 or 2 little errors just at the end, but the speed you're carrying is just something else.
Yeah, it was quite a good qualifying session. Obviously, a smooth run, throughout qualifying, through all the, Q1, Q2, and then Q3. So we were very happy with that. But today that's history. So we have a long race ahead of us. A lot of things that can happen, and yeah, it's a challenging track. New tires, first time, we switched the lights off at the same time for all the cars with the same fuel in the car, and then race each other. So really looking forward, but as I said, it's not going to be easy.
It's a long run down to that first corner. We can see it down there, and there's some talk that you may not have KERS available on this car, or you're only using it for a certain period of time. Are you concerned about that charge down to there?
No, it's also not that long if you look. I mean, from here it looks long. If you would have to walk, yes, it will surely take you a while. But I think there's worse places, where you could say, okay, it's a long way to turn one. But I think we'll have a good start, and then we'll see what happens.
I heard that if you spin these Pirellis up too much, they're like a wet tyre. They will lose grip. They fall off the edge of traction quite quickly. Is that a key aspect?
Yeah, it's correct. So, generally the tyres behave differently on track when we're driving. Also, when we are starting. So, it's a new challenge, and we had some practice in the winter, but this is the first time, we all go at the same time, as I said. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
As ever, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Right, let's wander along and see who else we can find, see if we can find some drivers. Lewis Hamilton doesn't talk to the media on the grid because he knows if he talks to us, then it'll be an avalanche and everybody will want to talk to him. Here's Jenson Button. Let's see if we can poke our head in underneath his umbrella. JB, are you with us?
Have to be very quick.
Yeah, all right, we'll be really quick. What can you tell us? You're starting fourth on the grid, so what can you tell us?
Not a lot, really. I'm pretty happy with where I am. I think after what we've been through, I think this is a great place to be, second and fourth. Looking to today, our starts have been pretty good. That's one thing we have had. I don't know whether they're using KERS or not. No one knows, so I think it makes it very exciting for the first stretch down to the first corner. And after that, it's very interesting to see how the tyres play out, and KERS and the rear wing, and so many different strategies, and I think everyone's going to be watching everyone.
Reliability for you?
It's been good so far this weekend. We've had no issues at all, but obviously this race is the first race distance we've done. I haven't done anything over sort of 18 laps.
Last question, can you win the race?
Definitely.
Good luck.
On the second row, you'd hope so.
It's a hat-trick, isn't it? If you can do that, go for it. Jenson there just wandering through a marshal's post in the debris fencing here because he doesn't want to have to walk all the way around. We've got a bit of cable clashing going on here. Now let's see if we can get a poke at the back of this McLaren. You can see there where the exhaust now has been rerouted. That's the key change. They had a system on there that was fiendishly clever and complicated that sounded something like a cross between an industrial heater and the world's best leaf blower, but they've taken it off. I'm sure it might appear later on. Maybe we can come and have a look around the back of the car as well. And I'm sure that it'll maybe go back later on in the season, but McLaren decided to put a much more simple system on. And look, they didn't have a chance to do all new fireproof carbon fibre on the new undertray. It's covered in titanium. The fireproof carbon fibre stuff's got a long lead time. They've only had a couple of weeks to redesign the back end of this car. And with the might and the resource and the experience of McLaren, they turned up here and hit the right spot. They're second and fourth on the grid, which is a massively impressive effort on their behalf. I know they thought we were being a bit hard and they gave us some humble pie yesterday, but there is no doubt about it. 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were in desperate trouble with that car in terms of performance and reliability. Let's see if we can wander back here to Vitaly Petrov, who's done a stellar job for is he any chance for a quick word with him?
He's going to the minute of silence.
Okay, well, we're going to walk forward now because there's going to be a minute of silence to pay their respects for obviously a lot of natural disasters around the world in recent times, and particularly in Japan. And so the drivers are going to go to the front of the grid. And Vitaly, congratulations on 6th place. And are you happy for the race?
Yeah, definitely. All weekend we have a quite good car, so we must be proud of our place on start grid. So we need just focus on this race now.
Okay, well, good luck. I know you're going to the front of the grid to pay your respects and best wishes to the people around the world who are somewhat less fortunate than us.
I don't hear the question, sorry.
Okay, no problem, sorry. They're just starting the car up. Thank you very much for your time. Let's just move this way a little bit. So I think the drivers are going to line up. Well, we're in the way of the photographers here. The drivers are staying under their umbrellas as long as they can. I think this is a very nice thing to do. I'm not sure it's particularly easy for them to to come and do this kind of thing when they really need to get their head into their start and a very long afternoon ahead of them. But this is somewhat reminiscent for me of completely different circumstances when we all came on the front of the grid in Monaco when Ayrton Senna died. But this is a nice gesture by all of the Grand Prix drivers.
And along with the Formula One community, the BBC send their thoughts and best wishes to the people of Japan as well. And it's worth pointing out, Eddie, that actually Japan and Formula One have a long and pretty special history.
Well, most of the drivers out there have either cut the mustard, so to speak, in Japan because of very strong Formula 2, Formula 3000. A lot of manufacturers came in through there, a lot of engine suppliers. Yeah, huge affinity between Japan and the rest of the racing world.
And a special performance yesterday from Kamui Kobayashi. He starts 9th on the grid, which is great for him.
Well, you know, I have a real soft spot for this guy because we saw what he was able to do. He passed at will. He just joked his way through the championship. I love the way he drives because he's aggressive. He doesn't care too much. But nevertheless, he has got a very quick turn of speed. And I think he's going to be very strong this season.
Yeah, look out for him today. He didn't slip into the bracket of not overtaking much in 2010, did he? Now, interesting to hear Jensen's thoughts on the grid there about KERS and the start. I've never seen Ted Kravitz so busy, ferreting around, trying to find out what is going on with Red Bull and this KERS system. Well, Christian Horner's been talking to Lee.
Well, Christian, first of all, let's say congratulations. You must be delighted with the gap from 8/10 from Sebastian back to Lewis Hamilton and Mark, of course. But already paddock whispers and disgruntled people claiming that darker forces are at work and that your KERS system is something unusual. Is it for the start or a mini KERS system? Why don't you tell us?
Well, first of all, I think the gap is irrelevant. The position is the thing that's important, and we were delighted to get the pole, here for the first race in Melbourne. We were disappointed not to lock out the front row. But Lewis did a great job to qualify on the front row. We didn't use KERS yesterday. It was a strategic decision, and we'll see how it pans out today.
Some people would ask, why did you not use KERS yesterday? Because surely it's there to give an advantage, or does it not work on a circuit like this?
KERS has advantages and disadvantages. Yesterday we elected not to use it. I think we just need to wait and see. Obviously, the performance of the car yesterday was very good. Sebastian was in awesome form. I mean, he produced 2 laps that were quite, phenomenal. So we go into the race. It's a bit of a voyage of discovery, especially with the new tyres, the rear wing. So it's going to be fascinating to see how things unfold.
And for any of the doubters up and down the paddock, you're happy that your system complies with all rules and regulations?
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
So that everyone else has got quite a lot to fear.
Well, KERS, I mean, it's an interesting technology. It's back in Formula One this year. It's complicated. Our car, as always, complies with the regs.
And it's fast, so congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I love this. Eddie, classic Formula One, isn't it?
Well, KERS, I'm not sure how many fans out there really like KERS, but anyway, we've got to go with it. Very honest, I think, by Christian. He has declared first step by saying they didn't use it yesterday, and I think that probably shook the rest of the paddock, because you can willfully just disregard 80 horsepower willy-nilly like that and still have 8/10 on the rest of the field. I mean, that's a daunting figure, and when they do get KERS right, where are they going to be?
Well, he was honest, but he still didn't tell us whether they're going to use KERS or not, but there you go. Now, if you're still feeling a little bit sleepy this morning, I think it's time to wake the people at home up, Eddie, because if you've forgotten over the winter just how special Sebastian Vettel is, he reminded us yesterday in 83 seconds.
Albert Park, a 3.3 miles, 16-turn circuit. Sebastian Vettel has been the class of the field through qualifying. Let's take a look at his best lap. 190 miles an hour, hit the brakes hard down into turn 1. 105 through the first apex, already up to 150 through the exit. Tremendous poise and confidence. Bring the car to the left-hand side for the braking zone of turn 3. Many drivers have locked their brakes in there, no problem for Vettel. Just 70 miles an hour now. Switches across the track for the difficult turn 4. Clumps the curbs through the exit, hangs onto it. Full throttle through 550 miles an hour, up to 180 to spot the difficult braking zone for turn 6, slightly unsighted, downhill. 100 miles an hour through the apex, straightening the circuit out wherever he gets the chance. The new resurfaced area now of turn 9, 180 miles an hour as he heads into the apex. No problem at all. Just watch how close he gets to the wall on the outside. Now he really lets the car go. Up to 190 miles an hour for the spectacular turn 11 and 12 chicane. Watch this. Superb commitment. You can see on his dashboard to the right-hand side of the gear shift number, he's gained half a second through there. Turn 13's here already, a 90-degree right-hander, 95 miles an hour through the apex. Turn 14 ahead. Get the car in early. Nose is running wide. He has to do a short shift on the way into the corner. All getting a bit scrappy. Locks his left front. Gets away with it in the penultimate corner. Just turned 16 to go. 115 miles an hour through the apex. Again, the nose is running slightly wide. He drives for the line without the use of this KERS system either. He's blitzed the field on a 123.5.
All getting a bit scrappy, said Martin, but I think that's being a perfectionist, and that time was achieved without the use of the kinetic energy recovery boost button. Now, just to let you know that after the race today, and we're just less than 10 minutes away now from the race start, we're heading off to the F1 forum. You can email us, f1@bbc.co.uk, or you can tweet the show via my Twitter, which is @JakeHumphreyF1. And we want you to use this weekend the hashtag #BBCF1. If you do that, then we'll see all of your messages and all of your thoughts, and we'll share them on the F1 forum with Eddie, Martin, David, and anyone else that cares to join us, and usually they do. Right, let's talk about the race then, the strategy, the way it's going to unfold. And previously, grid position was king. That doesn't seem to be the case now with these Pirelli tyres.
Well, there's the tyres, of course, and then you've got the adjustable rear wing. But the thing for me here would be KERS. Will Red Bull use it off the line, because there is such an advantage? My guess is that they might just leave it alone, or else they might just use it for the start and then disregard it, because there is a big advantage in having it at the run up to the first corner. And one thing for sure is Vettel does not want to be having Hamilton in front of him. That's the key for him.
Yeah, we know how good the McLaren KERS button is. We've been talking a lot about tyres as the flypast comes by with a nice big jumbo making its way over the top of the circuit. As I said earlier, they put on a fantastic show here in Australia. Murray Walker used to love coming here, and he was hanging out with us just a few days ago. There you go, taking a look up, just with the Australian flag behind him there, Mark Webber. So the drivers are getting into their cars, Eddie. The front 10, all on the soft option tyre. We were expecting some different kinds of strategies coming into this race. But in actual
what's
fact,
actually happened is that the disparity between the soft tyres and the hard tyre we thought was being much wider, and clearly that's not the case. Surprise, surprise, Pirelli have brought a soft tyre that actually is quite durable, and we saw actually Sebastian Vettel yesterday in qualifying putting a heat cycle into one of the soft tyres, so he plans by doing that it should be able to give him 2 or 3 extra laps. So you can already see Red Bull are ahead of the game in terms of their strategy for this race.
Okay, you saw how packed the grid was there. There's the man at the front of it all, the world champion Sebastian Vettel, focused and ready. The trick is not to do a pit stop too many. It's about 27, 28 seconds if you have to stop here.
Well, big disadvantage if you have to make that extra pit stop, and that's why I think we talked about the strategy and why Christian Horner looks so pleased, not just with himself or the team, but the preparation. I think they have tyres and they're already pre-prepared that they will be able to make 1 stop less.
Okay, here we go, some quick fire questions. Will we see more overtaking?
Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, and who will win the race?
Well, you can't go with anyone other than Vettel. He looks a real class act.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. Right, it's Martin and David's big moment very shortly. And what a moment this is for Sebastian Vettel. He starts his first race as world champion, number 1 on the car, number 1 on the grid. As far as he's concerned, it's a game of catch me if you can. Live, uninterrupted, and in high definition on the BBC One HD channel. It's the first race of the 2011 Formula One season. Well worth the early alarm.
I said we riding up.